Now, the absolute values. Some of you are kind of struggling with how to set this up. So I want you to take your piece of paper and we're going to write this down. So there are two types of absolute value inequalities. So we know this is absolute value, so it's vertical bars. They measure how far something is from 0. And our goal is to rewrite the problem without those vertical bars. So it's a normal inequality for us to solve. The two types, we have the greater than and the less than. And the trick I gave you yesterday, and everybody should be writing this part down. There's a great or. So the greater is the or statements. When you graph ors, what do they look like? Separate ways. Okay, they're not going to hit each other. And then there is the less than and. How does an and look when you graph it? Yep, they connect. It's in between two pieces. Okay, so if the original problem has those vertical bars, we are rewriting it. We can either have a great or less than. Okay, let's think about what this means. Absolute value tells you how far something is from 0. If it says the absolute value is greater than 5, it's telling you it is more than 5 away from 0. Okay, so here's 5. If you want to be more than 5, you would have to be going this way. Or you could go distance in the negative direction and more than 5 would go this way. That's why the greater than, those are ors, because your distance is further than 5. You have to go more than 5 away from 0. Do you guys understand that, what I'm saying there? Okay. So when we set these up, we have to write it without the absolute value. So we write our or statement. And everybody should write this down, because if you ask me for help today, I'm going to tell you to pull out this paper, and if you don't have it, I'm not helping you. The absolute value of x is greater than 5. So the first one, that just means x could be bigger than 5. So we just drop that absolute value. Or the other one, you have to flip your inequality and make it a negative. It's just like when you multiply by a negative, it flips the inequality. And that's what we graphed. Greater than 5 or less than negative 5. Those are the two separate pieces.
Do you want us to write on the graph?
You might, just so it kind of helps you. So this is kind of your notes up at the top, so you remember the two different types. All right, the second option, the less than and statement. So we know it's between two numbers. I'm saying that the distance from 0 is less than 5. Okay, so that means it has to be less than 5 above and less than 5 below. So it's just in between those two numbers. Does that make sense if we think about it in terms of a distance? So the ands. When we solve and problems, we look for one big inequality. So the first part stays the same. You just drop the absolute value. Then you add the same symbol on the other side, and we put the negative. So the less than, we have an and, so one big inequality. And that's what we're solving. Our graph should be in between the two numbers. Great or, we do two separate ones. Our graph goes two separate directions. So everybody should have this at the top of your paper. Let's look at a few problems. Okay, so if I say the absolute value of 2x minus 1 is less than or equal to 7. We first have to make sure the absolute value is by itself. That means I'm looking at that side of the inequality. Is there anything outside the absolute value? No. So we are ready to solve. So we look at it and we say, okay, less than, that is an and. know then we are getting one piece. So when we set it up, we bring down everything except the absolute value. Since it's an and, we need one big piece, so we put the same sign on the other side, and then -7. So it has to be between -7 and +7. Then this is going back to those older problems that we were solving. So we would add 1 to everything. And I'm doing it 3 times because with those 2 inequalities, we have essentially 3 sides. Okay, so we get a -6 less than or equal to 2x less than or equal to 8. Then what do? So we get -3 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. Okay, it was an and, so we get one big solution. When we go to graph that, equal to means bracket, or sorry, not bracket, closed circle. So we have a closed circle on the -3, closed circle on the 4. We are graphing in between those 2 pieces. Let's look at the second. What do we have to do before anything else this time? We have to have that absolute value by itself. So because there is a +3, I have to subtract that 3. So I have the absolute value of x over 4 is greater than 1. Greater, that is an or statement. So or says 2 separate ones. The first one, nothing changes. Or the second one, you flip the inequality and make it negative. Times by 4. So we get x is greater than 4, or so that's my solution. Or 2 separate pieces. Will these have open or closed circles? Open. So we have an open circle at 4. That one was greater, so going to the right. And then less than -4. So open circle and -4 going to the left. So when we graph them, they go opposite directions. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so we did a little bit of review on these absolute values. I'm going to give you an activity. I want you to practice these first, and then we're going to stop with 10 minutes or so left at the end of class and do a little more review over some of the older things, okay? So what I have today, you're going to get 2 pieces of paper. Okay, the first one has inequalities, absolute value inequalities for you to solve. The second one is kind of supposed to be a puzzle, so it has all the different solutions. Okay, so use this. I don't really care so much about you solving the puzzle as I want you to use this to check yourself. If you're getting a solution and it's not somewhere on this page, you know you made a mistake. Okay, so that's my main goal here with this activity piece. I want you to check yourself and catch when you make mistakes. So, solve the problem. Mark it off on this page when you get those solutions. If you don't get a solution, then let's look at it and figure out where you went wrong. Okay? So you've got time to work on this now and ask questions, and then towards the end we will be doing some more together. Yep.
I did turn it in.
I have it. I'll pull it out. I'm also going to hand back the last couple assignments.